And it's important that I give the right impression and don't get tangled up in my lanyard. But I don't think you can really sell anything without a tie. I really did object a little bit to the shenanigans of Mr. Snowden earlier, pretending to lose his luggage. I mean, that was just poor, wasn't it? Terrible example to set to all of the purchasers of services that are here today. And I've also managed to tangle the mic up in my tie. But the MD of my company will be very upset if he sees me on stage in front of a group of people without being properly suited and booted. Very important stuff. But something else we have to do before we spend time with introducing you to this framework is there's lots of very important people in the room. Who are the most important people in the room? Put your hands up. Who works for a large consultancy firm? No one. Oh, he does. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
John McNestrie, Hyper Agility Director. This lady looks very important. There's a business card for you. I'll come and find you in the breakout area later. He's smiling. That makes him an easy sell. John McNestrie, Hyper Agility Director for U-Kan-Scrum-gile. Don't worry, we'll change the world for you. Very important stuff. This gentleman here. Are you a decision maker in your business? Yes, he's a decision maker in his business. It's important. We'll come back to him later. Who has a high budget sign-off in the room? 10 grand? You, sir. Brian, good to meet you. John McNestrie, Hyper Agility Director. If you could just pass those around, that would be really helpful to me. All is good. Carl, can I borrow you for a minute? Because there's yet another thing we've forgotten to do. So this is our, we're ultra platinum hyper diamond partners of Lean Agile Brighton this year. And it's important that when you do that, you make a few sales. Otherwise I might be in trouble. So, brilliant, thank you. And if somebody could please take a picture of me and Carl in front of this, just shake hands there. It's obviously for Twitter. We are the framework of choice for Lean Agile Brighton this year. There's a good 2.5% discount in it for you all if you were to buy today. Of course, I put that in front of the screen, but hey. So what am I here to do today? Oh, the animation. It's nice. So we're all here to talk about Agile, aren't we? Capital A, but we thought we'd go the full hog and capitalize it. And it gives you, everybody's here because there's not any of these developer-type folk in the room, is there? It's all senior management and the type of people that we really want to have today. Agile gives you the freedom to dictate exactly what you want. None of these difficult and slightly annoying project plans that say that you can only have this, and we've planned it, so it must be delivered. We need productivity savings, and our business needs them today. We can dictate requirements, deadlines, scope, cost, everything exactly as we need it, and that's what this framework is all about. Does this sound like your organization? Carl, I'm going to pick on you again because you're the only one who works for the kind of company that I need to sell to today. This is really worrying. Do you have missed deadlines? Customers? No. You have missed deadlines because of those technical problems. The developers who talk to you about, who's heard of technical debt? We need to find a way to get rid of that. And actually we have. Cost overruns. Those pesky project managers asking for extra money to mitigate so-called unforeseen events. Why didn't they foresee? That was their job. Dear me. And yes, the difficult programmers. Who's a programmer? Who's a developer? Who's a coder? You, sir. Do you hate success? When I ask you for an estimate, why wouldn't you give me the true one, the right one? I'm really, really disappointed. Do you have a reason why you won't estimate properly for us?
It's just really hard.
It's really hard. Oh, I thought we had top-notch people in the room. John McNestrie, Hyper Agility Director. Revision of estimates, asking to carry out unnecessary work. we're back in the world of this technical debt nonsense. Could a senior manager in the room tell me how they feel about technical debt? How do you feel about technical debt, sir?
Oh, it's bad.
It's bad. It's bad. How dare they? So, me. I'm your hyper-agility director for the day. Very important title for a very important person. I've got many accreditations. But we've got some Scrum.org people in the room. Jose, you're a Scrum.org person, aren't you? Are you a PSM3? That's very impressive. I'm a PSM6. I'm at least twice as agile as you are. Many things. I'm the chapter lead of the IALMA Agile organization. I can't remember what it stands for because I believe I'm the only member. But I'm the chapter lead for the UK, which makes me a very important person, so you should listen to me. And I've worked with far too many companies to talk about. CEO of FTSE 100 company, an expert in every way. So you can trust me. So what I'm about to tell you is really important. You need to pay some attention to it. I talk about U-Kan-Scrum-gile. U-Kan-Scrum-gile is the framework that U-Kan-Scrum-gile International PLC have developed. And we've taken the best of all of these non-guaranteed frameworks you've heard of. You've heard of Scrum, you've heard of Kanban, you know the problems that they cause. And we've added what they're missing, which is absolute, ironclad rigor and governance. Short delivery cycles, we've kept that bit because we can frequently realign them to exactly what we need for our customers. It's key to success. And also, who uses story points here? Show of hands. Story points? Developers game them. It's him again. Look at him, grinning. They game them. So we have our wonderful patented, so don't you dare, it's patented automatic conversion to man-hours from U-Kan-Scrum-gile points. Senior manager here is feeling it. He's getting ready to spend. I mean, the other thing worth pointing out is if we pop back, obviously note the animation. The animation is important. We're at version 2.1. Version 2.1 gives you some safety. This has been tried and tested and iterated. You wouldn't want to buy a 0.0 release of something, would you? Who's involved with SAFe in any way, shape, or form? SAFe. What's the new version of SAFe? Isn't it 5.0? 5.0 has just come out. Bound to be full of bugs. You're far safer adopting something a little tried and tested. So what's part of the framework? Obviously, I don't want to tell you too much because it's very proprietary, and you have to sign a few licensing agreements before you get too far. But we have some very proactive monitoring of these people, these developers and testers, and our resources. This looks like an ordinary Fitbit. But I'm modeling it for you so that you can see that this monitors my interactions with my workstation. Monitors how often I go to the toilet, and puts it all into timesheets automatically. It's brilliant. It calculates productivity. And you'll be able to see all of that. It's graphed on a per developer, per tester basis. It's brilliant for performance reviews. Actually, there's an additional module where it feeds straight into people's performance reviews automatically. He's getting more interested by the minute. It's a brilliant framework. Digital board. Who likes Jira? Fools. Who uses it? Even bigger fools. You want this. This is very, very carefully designed to allow shorter stand-ups. I mean, you can't have your developers wasting more than a couple of minutes talking to each other. Like the headphones, it screams productivity, doesn't it? But also we need to, actually I think we've got some more about that board on the next slide, you'll see it in a minute. But yeah, the main thing here is we're designed for the enterprise. The competing frameworks, even SAFe and Dean Leffingwell with his beautifully manicured beard, looking off into the mountains on his promotional material, it's not really designed for the enterprise. It's not. We are. And we've got our evolving standards. I didn't save it when I changed the presentation last night. Oops. So yes, we've pushed out version 2.5, and obviously that's what we're talking about today. But we're going to make a version jump So we're going to jump to version 7.1 in the new year. So that makes us at least 2 better than safe. So you know you've got some faith there. Roles. Roles in our world. We like job titles. We like roles. We'll even sell you recruitment services for these. But you've got your agility director. Must deliver to time, cost, and scope. It's music to everyone's ears, that, isn't it? Product manager. Product manager is really the boss. Like when product managers are the boss. They can tell you exactly what needs to be delivered. Exactly what's delivered for maximum profitability. And a standard resource. At the moment, Sir the developer, Ben, what's your job title? Lead software engineer. He'll get a bit big for his boots there. He's a standard resource now. Who's heard of T-shaped teams? T-shaped people and cross-functional teams? T-shaped people. They're all the same, basically, and that's the idea. It's easy for resource sharing. I can borrow him for 3 hours tomorrow for this project, put him on a different one the next week. It's wonderful. It's magic. In an agile world, all teams are cross-functional. Brilliant for efficiency. So these are our roles, and this is important. What's next? The dashboard. I mentioned the dashboard. It's in the cloud. That's really important. Everybody likes the cloud these days. Big data. The next version of it's going to actually have AI in it, and we're looking to see if we can get Bitcoin into it as well, because you all want that. But it has KPIs and it has the real-time monitoring. So what we have is the resource. We have his hourly productivity on a dashboard in the CEO's office. And obviously, if things drop a little bit too low, we can take a really, really proactive way of doing things. The products themselves, we've got our league table. Got to gamify everything these days, haven't you? And we need to be able to see who's going to get relegated. Very important stuff. Who works for a consultancy of some kind? You work for a consultancy? Oh yes, more tech systems people. How do you feel about your clients? You love them. She's lying. She's lying. They're difficult clients. It's really, really a problem. You can't tell them the truth. If you told them the truth, they wouldn't do business with you. I mean, who would? What we need is we need to be able to sanitize data. And for many years, people have done this with reports. But now you can do it automatically. We give client views of your dashboards, client views of your delivery plans. And they're all carefully sanitized so that they never see anything that's remotely true. It's wonderful stuff. The new version. So obviously we want to track and exploit value, and we want to get on as many bandwagons as possible, as you've obviously noticed. The continuous billing pipeline is a new innovation. And this is really important. If we've got anyone who's in finance in the room, there's bound to be someone somewhere. It's a real difficulty, these agile projects, because you never understand how much money you're spending, how much you're getting back. It's shocking that they say, it'll be ready when it's ready. What we've got here with the continuous billing pipeline is a way to release our new features to our customers really quickly. It doesn't matter whether they're ready, it just matters whether they're contractually sound. We've actually got something here where we've limited the number of acceptance criteria per piece of work to 2, because then you can be suitably vague and not possibly tempted to put anything resembling a commitment that you can't deliver. So obviously we want to push those out, we want to build them. We've got our bill ops engineers, so we invented a new ops. That's very important because again, it's very now, it's very in. Now, here's what you're thinking. How do we do this? So, U-Kan-Scrum-gile International will come into your organization, qualified consultants, we'll do our audit. You like to feel like you've got some money for it, so you'll get a very weighty report. It'll make you, it's very, very Deloitte-esque, very weighty. And then we'll do some stuff with the staff. We'll do some familiarization workshops. It's not cheap, but you don't want to skimp on that, do you? And there's a period for discounting the certifications. Everyone was waiting for that, weren't they? They really want me to come on to the certifications. Don't worry, I will. Straight away, we've done our few weeks. We'll turn on the dashboards. We'll get your billing processed. We'll get the licenses turned on. It's immediate. Guaranteed results. So, what's this going to cost you? You look like a Platinum Plus kind of guy, sir. Are you a Platinum Plus guy? Absolutely. So I did say there's going to be a 2.5% discount if you buy today, only if you buy today. I'm sure you understand that. We'll also give you framework assurance so you get the new versions, and we'll send you the posters of the new versions and the changes as they come along, which is very good. And that's only going to cost you $69.995 a year. But of course, each user requires a little bit extra. But with the Platinum, you'll get all the Fitbit type kit, the way to monitor people, the dashboards for your office so you can see who's performing and who's performing where. 115% productivity gains. How can you say no? Certifications. So, did anyone notice my job title? Very important. Can't have anyone say they didn't know my job title. Hyper Agility Director. So we've got agility directors. We'll put them through the course. It's reasonably cheap. They get a nice wodge of course material. It's only a couple of days, obviously. Oh no, it's 3 days. Oh dear. We cut that down to 2 days now because we got some feedback that it was just a bit crap. But obviously, you want to look at getting at least one person qualified to a Hyper Agility Director. It's good for their business cards. Problem is they're more likely to leave and go somewhere else. So there's a bit of a balance there, because if you've got Hyper Agility Director on your CV, you're sorted for life. And the resource, Ben, our resource, would you like to be an enhanced resource? It's cheap and easy. It's only half a day and he can do it at his desk. You could probably make him do it in the evening. Improved efficiency for all delivery if he has that certification. Again, how could you say no? We'll even throw in a set of steak knives. And yeah, I've said this, the results are guaranteed. We will revolutionize your business. Look, it says there, U-Kan-Scrum-gile revolutionized our business. VP of Delivery Cloud, global cloud vendor, very important. And we work for all these companies, please don't look too closely. So, yeah. I've done this talk a couple of times now, and I kind of ham it up more than I used to, because the very first time I did it, I scared the crap out of myself, because it was just a little bit too real. It was a little bit, it didn't have quite everything in it that it's got now, and you know, I'm obviously taking the piss more than a little bit. Safe has been in for its share of the ribbing there, was where the version number obviously comes from. I think my thing here is that it's very easy for certain people to be taken in by a good sales pitch. This wasn't a good sales pitch, but it was just close enough that there will have been certain people who could have been persuaded by parts of it. I don't think there's many of those people in this room. I suspect not, at least. I've got at least one of my clients in the room who I don't think quite would have fallen for it, but actually, strangely, he booked some training with me as soon as he'd been to see this talk somewhere else. I'm just looking at him there, so you can all be embarrassed. So obviously it worked. A good return on investment. But we have to think about how people come into the organizations we might work for, how they interact with the people that we don't always have the ear of, or we don't have the ear of all the time. And it's very easy to promise the world. And I think we shouldn't promise the world, because I don't think there's any silver bullets, there's no turnkey solutions, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But I've seen this happen from outside in many organizations that I've worked for over the years, where somebody will come to certain people with a solution, and that solution will be, oh, it's brilliant, that'll solve everything. Have you listened to them? Can we get them in? Can we do a workshop with them? They've offered to do that for free. Yeah. They want our business really badly. It's great, that, isn't it? And I wanted you to do a little something for me. And I'm not going to say 5 minutes, because I think I'm slightly short of time. But it's one of these things where I make you talk to someone. I'm really sorry. Not really. I want you to have a chat with someone next to you, or in little groups of 3, you're welcome to. Just have a think about some time when something, so this tends to get called snake oil salesman, when something that was perhaps a little bit too good to be true, something that was a solution to problems, really wasn't, was discussed or was sold into your organization. Share that story, if there is one. Probably is. and have a chat for let's just do 2 minutes about what you could perhaps do to stop that from happening. Did the person talking to you have a really good story to share? Hands up. Go for it, Matt. And what you did or what you would do in future to prevent it.
So we were talking about having a consultancy brought into the organisation to take over, provide revolution.
Revolution, but that's what we do.
But that was always through that consultancy. They would provide that revolution, and there'd be no lasting legacy once they were no longer a part of the company.
I think that's always an interesting sign, isn't it? Keeping ownership of the revolution, of the changes. Where you can't do that, we're going to do that. We'll be around forever. Ha ha ha. What might you do to prevent that from happening in future?
I think when you work, from my perspective, when you're working with consultants, it's got to be a collaborative affair. I think if you bring them in at a certain level to... The old adage about consultancies, they'll tell you the time on your own watch. And bringing consultants in to do that is a very, very expensive way to achieve you looking at your own watch. So it's got to be something that's done very carefully to genuinely collaborate, and where consultants are brought in a position where they can genuinely influence, and they become stakeholders in the output.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Have we got one more who wants to tell a story of woe and pain?
I can tell you one of proliferation.
Oh, that'll do.
That was quite a large organisation I worked for a few years back, a very big company. But the CTO and had discussions with various people, and I was in some of those discussions, that we perhaps need to look to bring a consultancy in. One, to help us change the way we do things, but also to bring in their teams to actually do the work.
That sounds like more billing.
Which was great. So we thought, well, actually, we chose a couple of consultancies, and the idea was that with a couple of projects that we couldn't manage with the in-house teams and things like that, we'll get them in, see how they get on. We'll get some return on investment, because at least they'll build the stuff we needed to build. But as I was saying, all very good, and as with consultancies, that first week of workshops, you get their really, really shiny people in who are really, really good.
Oh, you see, that's me.
Yeah, and you've sold it to me already. But within a space of a month or two, rather than having a controlled trial across a couple of defined projects, they were everywhere. Everybody with their project somewhere said, "Oh, I want them," and it just exploded. Now,
only we can solve your problems.
Apparently,
we're the consultants.
But we hadn't actually seen them actually solve anything.
No. It doesn't matter. We can solve your problems. I don't need to persuade you. I just need to persuade the person who signs the checks.
I didn't in the end see what happened, because I sort of said, this is a really stupid idea.
We probably replaced you with a consultant.
And I was replaced, yes.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm a consultant a lot of the time, so really. So I'm not saying consultancy is a terrible thing. I'm not saying that having a set of tools. I think Dave described earlier the recipes and getting ideas from them. I quite like that. I thought that worked quite well. But when we provide a set of prescriptive ways of doing things and say it will solve your problems in all circumstances, I don't try not to use the word that much. I don't think that's very agile. What do I think is very agile? I used to put up things like a copy of the manifesto after something like this, and I don't really anymore, because I bloody hope everybody's seen it. But I tend to just put bits that I think are kind of important. And if you're working in a good collaborative way, you have people who want to be where they are. They want to be part of the thing that you're giving them an opportunity to be part of. They're empowered to work out the way that they work together, the way that they do things. I'll probably swap these two around, actually. They have the safety to do things in a way that allows them to make mistakes. Again, Dave stole half my points earlier, which is good, because it probably means I'm on the right lines. We learn from making mistakes. But we don't learn from making mistakes if everybody assumes that there's a way of doing things perfectly in our complex system. There's a way of designing it so that it works perfectly. How dare you make a mistake, developer? You're demoted to standard resource. You know? If that's going to be the case, you're never going to try anything that requires you to learn. And that's what we're trying to get. We're trying to get people to say that in a complex situation, we're going to try something. We're going to have a look at it. We're going to see how it went. Did it move us closer to where we were going to go or where we thought we wanted to go? And then we're going to inspect that a little more. We're going to have a think about it, and we're going to make some change. We're going to adapt. We're going to change the way we do things. And I stick that one in now because so I'm the comic relief today, because I gave Carl 2 options for what I would do. I said I'll do the comic relief, or I'll do a talk about how important real coaching is, and the confusion that the title Agile Coach causes, and consultants and all this kind of stuff, and how it's really important that we understand what coaching is about, and how we can reflect on the way in which we've done things and our behavior and our thoughts. And I believe that Helen and John are basically doing that tomorrow. So that's good. I think that'll be really, really interesting. So I'm a kind of coaching nut these days, and we use that word wrong most of the time. And many people who will come to you and say, I'm the enterprise this, that, and the other coach. I think it's always interesting to stop and to think about what that means and how they're going to help you to reflect on the way in which you work and what you're trying to achieve, and I suppose that journey that you're trying to do. I made you talk before. I'm going to make you be quiet now. I'll only make this a minute, but I'd like you to reflect in silence on what that agile thing that we talk about so much actually means to you. So I'll give you a minute to reflect on that in silence. U-Kan-Scrum-gile has a Twitter account. It was banned by Lean Agile Brighton earlier for being too aggressively salesy, which was good fun. I have 1 million business cards, and if anyone genuinely wants to come and pay the license fee, they will strain the limits of my integrity. So I would be interested to have that conversation. So thank you very much.
Thanks, John.